Hey, anyone else pissed that we weren't born into a super rich and famous family? I would have had 3 Oscars by now if my mother was... And of course I can grind away, hoping, begging that luck will strike. But the odds that I'll even be seen is so much slimmer compared to them. It's giving nepo failure. Hey Jem, it's Shade, and what comes to mind when you think of the phrase nepo baby? While most of us nepo babied our parents' depression, anxiety, debt, trauma, they did too, but you know, with a lot of money and opportunities attached to it. When I think of nepo baby, I think about the kind of sad truth that talent does not equal success, but connections do. Especially like if your parent is a celebrity, I'm going to automatically assume that some of that talent is in your DNA. On the other end of the spectrum are the rest of us who weren't born into the 1% and most of which do not want a job. I feel like this one TikTok just says it all.
But can I be honest, y'all? I don't want a job. I don't even want a job. OMG. Please, somebody. I don't want a job. I don't want to work. Just give me the money. OMG.
There's even a song version of it, but like, I'm just gonna do the cover myself. I don't want a job. I don't even want a job. OMG. That TikTok and its comments just encapsulates the energy of like the recent generations of not wanting a job. Like literally the comments would be like, why wasn't I born rich? Why did my mommy not marry rich? Like, how could you betray us? I can't help but agree. Surely I support marrying for love, but you couldn't have fallen in love with a rich man. Hello? And I think this energy is justified because it comes from a couple different places. First of all, the job market is not looking great. Okay, people are constantly talking about how hard it is to get a job, being faced with like so much rejection, whether you went to college or not. But I feel like it's a different type of pain if you did go to college, because here you are after spending like $100,000 plus. And you're still getting rejected. Here you are, having dedicated the past 4 years, maybe more, of your life to like a certain subject, having all this expertise, but you don't have enough experience, so you don't get the job. But of course you don't have enough experience because you just spent all this time studying about the job that you can't get, and then you can't get experience without a job. Not to mention a lot of companies don't really value their workers, and a lot of people don't get paid what they should get paid, or like their pay isn't matching the amount of work and effort that they're putting into their job. But hey, maybe here you are feeling safe and secure in your like corporate living. You check your email. You just got laid off, baby. What? I work like a dog day and night, and now you're saying I'm laid off? Or let's say you do have a good job, good pay. Something's not adding up. Why is my rent 20 times my pay? Why do I not have enough money for food? Livable wage for who? A cat? I got my own taste of corporate living over the summer when I had the best internship ever, but like, oh my God, 9:30 to 6. And then on top of that, I had an hour commute there and then an hour commute back to my place. And I actually liked that job. It was so physically and mentally draining though. I was like, oh, this is the rest of my life? And then of course, this is coming from a creative person. I felt like I had no time to pursue my passions. And then social media is the Pandora's box that you open and you're like, oh, we're not all living the same life, I see. How can we not compare our situation to all the rich people on our feed that are like, dude, if you're sad, just book a flight. Book a flight to Cancun. I have $4 in my bank account. What do you mean book a flight? And we know that social media can be a job, which is less stressful in a lot of ways than the normal 9 to 5. Which just makes it that much enticing to be like, what am I working for? What am I here for? What's going on? And it can be super painful to see people that are your age or younger that are way more successful than you can ever dream to be, mostly because they won the nepotism lottery. But if that wasn't enough, some nepo babies and just rich people in general are just so out of touch by how like the rest of the world is living. You might have had a run-in with that rich friend or acquaintance that is like, whoa, I'm not rich. My parents are rich. All I get is my $50 allowance every week. God, stupid poor you don't know shit. Or they'll be like, no, I'm not rich. I'm comfortable. And it's like, we just drove to your mansion in a Lamborghini. What? And then of course, there are the people that try to be relatable. There's like a TikTok trend right now that's just like highlighting the small, enjoyable moments in life. And then you have the soundtrack that's like, I think I like this little life. While you're like skipping stones or like playing cards or something. And this one girl got some backlash because someone pointed out how she was hopping on the trend while being in her actor father's private jet. There's something that's not so little about your life. Oh! Or of course when everyone got mad at Charlie D'Amelio for dressing up as a Walmart worker and cosplaying plebeian while she was getting paid $1 million for what most people are getting paid $15 an hour, if even. And some Nepo babies deny that they have any privilege, which for sure is it's out of touch. It's like that Barbie meme when the super rich girl is singing to the indentured servant and she's like, I'm just like you, you're just like me. And it's like, no, you're not! Another reason why Nepo babies can be frustrating, especially in artistic industries, is because a lot of times they are so hard to break into, nearly impossible. There's an insane amount of aspiring actors, far fewer that are actually working, and far fewer that are actually making a livable wage. And it can be kind of discouraging when you're trying to break into an industry and you look at people that are already successful and you see, oh, their parent has an EGOT. We are not the same. We are not the same. My high school acting teacher once told me that the most talented actor that he's ever known in his whole life ended up working at a gas station. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, it's like, damn, I thought I'd be on Broadway right now. And this isn't that. And as someone that has done work in marketing, I know that a lot of times people want to cast or work with people that have weight to their name. And that goes the same with influencers as well. And you know what? I feel like a common point that like Nepo babies have made is that just because my parent is rich doesn't mean that they want to hire me too. And honestly, that is a little valid. But at the same time, daughter of Beyonce has more weight than this random Jade girl. Who the is this? And it's like, even if you might not get the job immediately just because your parent is someone famous, unless of course they're like the producer or director of the work you're doing, and in that case your chances just got so much higher. The child of some famous performer will at least be in their mind a little longer than some random headshot that they see that they're gonna just throw away in the trash. Even for Nepo babies to even just be able to ask their parents for advice, that's a huge privilege. To go back and forth with them about how do I handle interviews, how do I go on a talk show, how do I get and negotiate with agents, can you put me in contact with some people that you know? And that being said, I know that all parent-child relationships are not equal, and I'm sure that there are plenty of Nepo babies with parents that are like, I had to figure it out myself, so you had to figure it out too. Which, sucks. And I feel like the privilege that Nepo babies get can be extended to the type of privilege that people who have moderately successful or super rich parents have. Because pursuing an artistic career can be insanely expensive and the playing field is not equal. Like when I was applying for performing arts colleges, I was super lucky to have parents that both were very supportive and had the funds to be able to drive me to New York to like do all these auditions. You know what else costs money? Acting and singing lessons, which a lot of people cannot afford. One of the most frustrating things about studying and performing art is having people in my classes joke about how they're scared that they're going to end up homeless, but it's like, you have a ski lodge! I think homelessness is on the bottom of your worries right now. Hello? And of course, this relates to non-artistic endeavors as well. Like putting your child in a sport can be so expensive. You have to pay fees, you have to pay for equipment, for a uniform, to be able to travel across the country with your team. Imagine how many people have the talent to be an Olympic winner but never had the opportunities or funds or support to be able to pursue that. And of course, I have to bring up the SAT and other like standardized testing, which I feel like has kind of fallen a little bit out of fashion when it comes to getting into college. Because it's like, are you actually smart or are your parents just rich enough to hire a tutor to prepare you to learn how to take the test? Because, you know, the SAT doesn't measure how smart you are. It measures how great you are at taking the SAT. Meanwhile, someone that couldn't afford those same opportunities didn't perform as well because they didn't have those tutors. Even having parents that went to college is a privilege in itself because you're able to get unique advice and perspective from them as you're navigating your own journey. Like the FAFSA, I'm so glad I didn't have to do that alone. And if you haven't picked up on this, nepotism is literally in everything. I think it's the most obvious when it comes to like celebrity Nepo babies, but literally, you might not get the job that you're applying for because the CEO wants to hire his son. There's also like legacy kids that get a lot of bias when they're applying to university because their parents went there and also donated a ton of money. I've even seen nepotism at work at my college when I'd like audition for short films. Imagine how angry I was when I got my first rejection for this film, only to find out that the writer and director of the film, who was also starring in it, ended up casting her two best friends. Why did you even have the audition? And I even benefited later on as I was able to work with people and then they were like, hey, I liked you on that project. Do you want to just work with me again? You don't have to audition. Great. Like literally everything is about the connections that you make. Not having connections is a huge disadvantage in almost everything that you do. But it's just like, imagine the life that we could have led as Nepo babies. Like this past summer when Blue Ivy went on tour with Beyonce. Imagine you get back from school and the teacher's like, hey everyone, what did you do this summer? Yeah, I toured with Beyonce. Okay, I'll just shut up forever then? But you know, there are some downsides to being a Nepo baby. Like growing up watching Disney Channel, I wish so badly that I would be a child star too. Hell no! Like it just seems kind of awful. Just imagine every single mistake you've made or will make for the first 20 years of your life spotlighted for the world to see. That sounds miserable. You can't experiment. You can't discover who you are like a normal person. And then not to mention your own mistakes, but every little thing your parent does puts you on blast too? Like, damn. Let them be messy over there. I'm trying to mind my own business. Damn. Any sort of interest that you take up ends up having like an immense amount of pressure attached to it. Like Will Smith when she first did I Whip My Hair Back and Forth. She ended up falling out of love with music for a while because yes, the song was insanely successful, but like her dad, Will Smith, was putting a bunch of pressure on her to like stick to it and keep going. And it's like, oh my God, I'm like 10. Or like when people made fun of Blue Ivy's face, even though first of all, she's literally Beyonce's twin. And second of all, she's a child! What? And you know what? Breaking into an artistic industry can be like incredibly hard, near impossible. And I'm glad that some of my favorite Nepo babies had that extra push up. Cause now I know them. Like Milo Manheim. Oh my God. Big fan. Willow Smith, great music. Like Miley Cyrus, we got Hannah Montana. The Hannah Montana. Because she was a Nepo baby. Tracy Ellis Ross, Maya Rudolph. Like I'm glad that they were put on our radar. And of course, they're actually really talented. So it's not like they're famous just because they're a Nepo baby. They're famous because they're good artists. And you know what? I just gotta say, I dropped the bag. I dropped the bag. Do you know how many billionaires go to my school? People were living it up in yachts. And where was I? Where was I? Not on the damn yacht, I'll tell you that. I could have been a Nepo wife. I could have been somebody's Nepo fiance. A Nepo daughter-in-law. But alas, I failed at being a Nepo baby because God said no. And I also failed at being a Nepo wife. So I guess I'm gonna have to pull myself up by my own bootstraps like a real American. Okay, bye.